Right now at 11, murder charges in the death of Kada Scott. The man suspected of kidnapping her is now accused of killing her.
That same night, Kada wrote, "Kidnap me again." King replied, "Better be up to."
Girl, listen, before we even get into this, I need y'all to know what Kada Scott texted right before she died. 4 words. 4. Kidnap me again. And 20 minutes after she sent that, she was gone. Let me tell you something. This case is not what you think it is. We've already covered this case when it was developing. This is the latest details on the case. I'll leave a link to the previous video in the comments so you can check it out. You're watching Shadow Crimes TV, where we bring true crime and domestic violence stories out of the shadows. Subscribe now and join us daily as we uncover the cases that demand to be heard. Don't just watch, be part of the conversation. This is Kada Scott, 23 years old. Look at her right here in this video. Excited, trying on the dress she was going to wear as a bridesmaid in her friend's wedding. Look at that smile. Look at that joy. This was supposed to be her future. Her friend Perry met Kada at Penn State University. They stayed close after graduation. And when Perry got engaged, Kada was one of the first people she asked to stand beside her on her big day. The dress was ready. The plans were set. Kada was looking forward to celebrating her friend's wedding. But on October 4th, 2025, something happened that flipped everything upside down. And now, investigators have revealed text messages that show what Kada was saying in the hours before she lost her life. Messages that raise questions about what their relationship really was. And evidence that shows at least 3 people were involved in what happened to her. The Philadelphia medical examiner has ruled Kada Scott's death a homicide. Keon King, the 21-year-old who was already charged with kidnapping and conspiracy, is now facing murder charges along with 19 other criminal counts.
Some of these charges he is now facing, including murder, robbery, abuse of a corpse, conspiracy, as well as firearms charges.
Supporting homicide, abuse of corpse, and conspiracy charges among 11 more crimes filed against King.
We talking about abuse of corpse, robbery, arson, and firearm violations. Law enforcement sources have confirmed that Kada Scott was shot, and investigators say she lost her life within 20 minutes of getting into King's car that night. But here's what makes this case even more disturbing. Police found evidence at a house where King went after, a house where 2 women lived, a house where investigators found contractor bags, a hammer, and ammunition. Those women were detained, questioned, and released. But the question remains, what did they know? And were they the accomplices caught on surveillance helping to move Kada's body?
Right now at 11, murder charges in the death of Kada Scott. The man suspected of kidnapping her is now accused of killing her. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jacqueline London.
And I'm Fred Shropshire. While investigators have not yet revealed how she died, we are learning more about the conversations leading up to her death. It's been a long month for the Scott family. Scott was reported missing after she vanished 18 days ago during her overnight shift at a nursing home in Northeast Philadelphia. And then on October 14th, Keon King turned himself over to police. He was charged with kidnapping.
And the very next day, police searched near an abandoned school. There was no sign of Kada Scott in that area. A tip led police back to that same area 4 days later, and that's when Scott's body was found. Then King faced another round of charges. That brings us to this afternoon when police announced a 3rd set of charges against King. He is facing about 20 charges in all, including murder, abuse of a corpse, arson, stalking, and robbery.
The investigation is far from over. Court documents give us a closer look at the last text messages leading up to her disappearance and death.
Let me walk you through what we now know, because court documents have revealed a timeline that shows this wasn't random. This was coordinated, and multiple people played a role. Now, before Kada went missing, before all of this came to light, there were signs of what this relationship looked like. And I'm not going to sit here and speculate about what was going on between them, but what I will say is this: the evidence speaks for itself. Her mom reported her missing after she vanished during her overnight shift at a nursing home in Northeast Philadelphia. 18 days. 18 days of her family not knowing where she was. 18 days of prayers and searches and hope that maybe, just maybe, she'd come home. October 14th rolls around. Keon King turned himself over to police. He was charged with kidnapping. The very next day, police searched near an abandoned school. There was no sign of Kada Scott in that area. A tip led police back to that same area 4 days later, and that's when Scott's body was found. Then King faced another round of charges. That brings us to when police announced a third set of charges against King. He is facing about 20 charges in all, including murder, abuse of a corpse, arson, stalking, and robbery.
NBC 10 Shair Arias is live in Germantown, where the city hosted a safety meeting blocks away from where Scott's body was found. What did they say about the case, Shaira?
Fred, great question, because the first thing that Mayor Sherelle Parker said was that she was not going to get into the investigation or give details about the investigation of Kada Scott. But what we are able to see with these court documents was that last conversation, what Kada was saying to King that night that she disappeared.
Yes, sir. It's heartbreaking for what happened to Jada and her family.
Kathy Warsinger was one of the many people who lives in Germantown to show up to Wednesday night's Community Safety Town Hall meeting. The same community that continues to grapple with the trauma of recently losing one of their own, 23-year-old Kada Scott.
This was someone that we all, in some way or another, connected to.
On Wednesday, 21-year-old Keon King, who was recently charged with kidnapping Scott, was charged with murder and other offenses after officials ruled Scott's cause of death a homicide. Court documents obtained by our news partners at KYW detail critical cell phone evidence that places King's cell phone where Kada was last seen, as well where her body was found. According to the documents, on October 4th, the night Scott disappeared, as she was on her way to work in Chestnut Hill, she received a dozen calls from a number linked to King. Investigators say King texted Kada letting her know he had a new number. Kada asked who it was. King then replied, Kel, as the two made plans to meet up. That same night, Kada wrote, "Kidnap me again." King replied, "Better be up to." Officials say their last exchange was at 10:09, when Kada texted King to call her when he arrived. A co-worker of Scott told police they heard Scott upset that night. Police say Scott was last seen leaving her job in a 2008 Hyundai, the same vehicle police say was stolen and later intentionally set on fire on October 7th. Cell phone activity shows Scott and King arrived at the Auberry Rec Center's parking lot the night she disappeared. Sources tell NBC 10 they believe Scott was killed 20 to 30 minutes after she went missing. Police say surveillance video of the rec center captured two people arriving and exiting King's vehicle, but then just hours later, two suspects are seen removing from the vehicle what they believe to be someone's body and placing it in the area where Scott's remains were found. Police say the investigation into Scott's murder is far from over.
Recovering Kada's body was not the outcome we had hoped for, but we are grateful that we were able to bring her home.
Commissioner Kevin Bethel vowing to hold everyone accountable in her murder responsible.
We continue to pursue anyone who helped, who concealed, who participated in this act. We will not stop.
And just want to let all the residents here in Germantown know that here at True Light Fellowship Church, starting tomorrow at 10 a.m., they are going to be offering resources for those residents who just simply want to talk to someone who need help navigating the tragedy that happened here in Germantown. In Germantown, Shair Arias, NBC 10 News.
Now let's talk about these text messages, because this is where things get real complicated. And this is where a lot of people have questions. Court documents give us a closer look at the last text messages leading up to her disappearance and death. One particular text that's now part of the investigation was sent at 10:07 a.m. on October 4th, nearly 12 hours before Scott disappeared. In it, she texted the words, "Kidnap me again," to a number that police have now linked to King. The reply that came back, "Better be up to." which was followed by specific plans to meet later that night. Girl, kidnap me again. Make it make sense, because when you hear that, your mind starts racing. What does that even mean? Was this some kind of inside joke? Was this role play? Or was this something way more serious that she was trying to communicate? We don't know the full context yet. Police haven't explained what led to that text or what it really meant. But what we do know is this: 12 hours after she sent that message, she was missing. And 20 minutes after she got in his car that night, her life was over. The investigation is far from over. And as more details come out, we're learning just how many people might have been involved in covering up what happened to Kada Scott. So let's piece together what happened that night. October 4th, 2025. Kada Scott was working her overnight shift at a nursing home in Northeast Philadelphia. She was a caregiver, someone who showed up for elderly residents with patience and love. That was her job. That was who she was. But at some point during that shift, she left. She got into Keon King's car. And according to investigators, within 20 minutes of getting into that vehicle, her life ended. 20 minutes. Think about that. 20 minutes is how long it takes to drive across town. 20 minutes is a quick run to the store. 20 minutes is nothing. And in that short window of time, everything changed. Law enforcement sources confirmed that Kada was shot. The Philadelphia Health Department announced that she died of a gunshot wound to the head. And the way this all went down, it wasn't chaotic, it wasn't spontaneous. The evidence shows this was coordinated. Multiple people were involved. Surveillance footage captured what happened after accomplices were seen helping to move Kada's body. This wasn't one person acting alone, this was planned, this was organized. And that's what makes this so chilling. After Kada was killed, King didn't just disappear. He went to a house where two women lived, and when police searched that location, they found contractor bags. They found a hammer. They found ammunition, all of it pointing to what happened next. The covering up, the hiding, the attempt to make Kada Scott vanish without a trace.
The medical examiner has just released the cause of death for Kada Scott. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Donovan. It was just yesterday that we learned Scott's death had been ruled a homicide. The man accused of abducting her is also now charged with her murder. Chief investigative reporter Joe Holden is live at the Criminal Justice Center with the breaking details. Good afternoon, Joe.
Hi, Jim. Good afternoon. So I just left the basement of the Criminal Justice Center, where we expected any moment Keon King to appear over closed circuit television for his arraignment hearing, where there will be bail and there will be discussions about some of these charges he is now facing, including murder, robbery, abuse of a corpse, conspiracy, as well as firearms charges. So now, as you've mentioned, the medical examiner also releasing the cause of death. We've learned that Kada Scott died by a gunshot wound to the head. King is accused of fatally shooting Kada Scott within a 20-minute period of time after the two met up outside her place of work in Chestnut Hill. A co-worker told police Scott was on the phone when leaving work and appeared to be upset. That was the night of October 4th. Investigators have been feverishly working backwards to build a case and explain what happened to Kada Scott after she disappeared. Prosecutors and police still haven't said how long the two knew each other or why she got into his car that night. Investigators revealed text messages and phone calls between the two in court filings, which were made public yesterday. Prosecutors have not provided a possible motive. Court records allege Keon King and an accomplice placed a heavy object consistent with a human body at the location where Kada Scott was later found by investigators. She had been buried in a shallow grave. Police are looking for as many as 2 other people connected to the case. King, according to court records, declined to be interviewed by homicide detectives. It is unclear if King's lawyer will be appearing for this arraignment. Court records show that Ashaka Johnson. We've reached out to him repeatedly and have not heard back.
Kada's mom reported her missing, and for 18 days, her family didn't know where she was. 18 days of searching, 18 days of hoping, 18 days of prayers that she'd walk through the door safe. The community rallied. People shared her picture. They posted on social media. They asked questions. Where is Kada Scott? Has anyone seen her? Please, if you know anything, come forward. Comes October 14th. That's when Keon King turned himself in to police. He was charged with kidnapping and conspiracy, but at that point, investigators still didn't know where Kada was. They had a suspect in custody, but no body, no answers for her family. The very next day, October 15th, police searched near an abandoned school in the area. They combed through the property looking for any sign of Kada Scott, but they came up empty. Nothing, no trace of her. 4 days later, a tip came in. Someone called with information that led police back to that same abandoned school, the Ada Lewis Middle School building, a place that had been sitting vacant, neglected, forgotten by the city, a place where danger could hide in plain sight. October 19th, that's when they found her. Kada Scott's body was discovered at that abandoned school. And just like that, the case went from a missing person investigation to a homicide. The medical examiner ruled her death a homicide. And within hours, Keon King was hit with a third round of charges. Murder, abuse of a corpse, arson, stalking, robbery. The list went on, about 20 charges in total. And investigators made it clear they weren't done. More charges were coming. More people might be arrested.
Covering Kada's body was not the outcome we had hoped for, but we are grateful that we were able to bring her home.
Commissioner Kevin Bethel vowing to hold everyone accountable in her murder responsible.
We continue to pursue anyone who helped, who concealed, who participated in this act. We will not stop.
Now let's talk about those two women, because this is where people have a lot of questions, and honestly, so do I. Police found evidence at the house where these women lived. Contractor bags, the kind you use to haul away debris, the kind that could be used to move a body, a hammer, ammunition, all of it found in a location connected to Keon King. Those women were detained, they were questioned, and then they were released. Moving on, just like that. No charges filed against them, at least not yet. But here's the thing. Investigators have said they're looking at the possibility that a second person, maybe even more, was involved in what happened to Kada. Surveillance footage shows accomplices helping to move Kada's body. So if these two women were at that house, if that evidence was found there, if they were seen on camera, what did they know? What did they do? And why haven't they been charged? I'm not saying they're guilty. I'm not saying they did anything. But what I am saying is this: the investigation is ongoing. And if they played any role in covering up what happened to Kada Scott, the truth is going to come out, period. Keon King is sitting in jail right now facing murder charges and 19 other criminal counts. He's being held on $500,000 cash bail. That's $500,000 just to walk out of that cell. And honestly, he's not going anywhere. The charges against him paint a picture of what investigators believe happened: murder. That's the big one. But it doesn't stop there: abuse of a corpse. That charge tells you they believe he did something to Kada's body after she died. Something to hide what he did. Something to cover his tracks. Arson. That charge makes you wonder, did he try to burn evidence? Did he set something on fire to destroy what connected him to the crime? Stalking. That one raises questions about what was happening before October 4th. Was he following her? Was he watching her? Was there a pattern of behavior that escalated into violence, robbery? What did he take from her? Was it her phone, her belongings, her car? We don't have all the details yet, but that charge suggests this wasn't just about taking her life. It was about taking everything. And then there's the firearm violations. The gun that killed Kada, where did it come from? Was it legal? Was it registered? Those are questions prosecutors are going to answer in court. King's arraignment is coming. The trial will follow, and when it does, we're going to hear testimony. We're going to see evidence. We're going to watch as the prosecution lays out exactly what they believe happened to Kada Scott and why Keon King should be held accountable. But here's what I need y'all to understand. For Kada's family, no verdict is going to bring her back. No sentence is going to ease their pain. No amount of justice in a courtroom is going to fill the hole she left in their lives. What they're asking for, what they deserve, is the complete truth. They deserve to know everyone who played a role. They deserve to see everyone who was involved held accountable. And they deserve to know that Kada's life mattered enough for the system to get this right. The memorial outside Ada Lewis Middle School remains. People keep adding to it. Flowers, balloons, notes telling Kada she's loved, she's missed, she mattered. And she did matter. She does matter. Community members have been showing up, not just in the first few days, but weeks later, still bringing flowers, still leaving messages, still making sure Kada knows, even though she's gone, that she wasn't forgotten, that her life meant something, that her death won't be in vain. One of the community leaders said something that stuck with me. She said, "Kada Scott will always be to me and to us, the forever Miss Philadelphia, forever Miss Philadelphia." That's how they're choosing to remember her, not as a victim, not as a headline, but as someone who represented the best of what this city could be. And they're not stopping at memorials. They're pushing for change. Real change. Community members are vowing to keep Scott's memory alive through action. They're talking about creating a law, the Kada Scott law, so that women, black women, all women who are going through domestic violence will know that we are with them. That's what they want. A law that protects women before it's too late. A law that makes sure resources are available. A law that ensures when someone reaches out for help, they actually get it. Because how many more Kadas do we lose before we fix these systems? Let's talk about that abandoned school, the Ada Lewis Middle School building. Because this isn't just about where Kada's body was found. This is about what that building represents. For 2 days in a row after Kada's body was discovered, workers focused on clearing shrubs and debris at the school. Councilwoman Cindy Bass sent out a letter to the Philadelphia School District demanding leaders tear down the vacant building, not asking, demanding. And she's right, because that building has been sitting there vacant, neglected, forgotten. A place where danger could hide, a place where someone could dump a body and think nobody would look. A place that became a crime scene because the city let it fall apart. The school district released a statement saying they are reviewing protocols for the former school. Reviewing protocols, but hey, what good is reviewing after the fact? What good is a statement when a young woman is already gone? This is about showing the community that their safety matters, that their concerns are heard, that black women and girls are valued and protected. Because when you let buildings rot, when you let neighborhoods decay, when you ignore the warning signs, tragedy becomes inevitable. Councilwoman Bass said it best when she demanded that building be torn down. It's not just about removing an eyesore, it's about accountability. It's about prevention. It's about making sure the next young woman doesn't end up in an abandoned building because the city couldn't be bothered to secure it. Kada Scott was a daughter, a sister, a friend, a businesswoman, a caregiver, a young woman full of potential who deserved to live the life she was building. She deserved to stand in that bridesmaid dress at her friend's wedding. She deserved to keep growing her beauty business. She deserved to keep helping elderly residents at that nursing home. She deserved to keep pursuing her dreams. She deserved her future. Instead, she's gone, and a family is left with memories and grief and questions that may never be fully answered. But what we can do, what we have to do, is make sure her name isn't forgotten. Make sure the people who took her life face full justice. Make sure the system changes so the next young woman has a better chance. Make sure Kada's light continues to shine through the kindness we show each other. The legal process will continue. King's arraignment, the trial, the testimonies, the evidence presented in court, all of it playing out in front of cameras and reporters and a community that's watching every single move. But for Kada's family, no verdict will bring her back. No sentence will ease their pain. No justice in a courtroom will fill the hole she left in their lives. What they're asking for is that we remember her, really remember her, not just as a headline, not just as a case number, but as Kada, the woman who smiled in that video trying on her dress, the woman who cared for elderly people with patience and love, the woman who was building a business, the woman who showed up for her friends. That's the Kada they want us to carry forward. And as for us, as a community, as a society, we have to ask ourselves hard questions. How many more Kadas do we lose before we fix these systems? How many more families have to stand at memorials before we take violence against Black women seriously? How many more vacant buildings become crime scenes before we invest in our neighborhoods? Girl, these are the conversations we need to keep having, not just when tragedy strikes, but every single day, because prevention starts with awareness, with resources, with holding people accountable before it's too late. The investigation continues. More charges are expected, more people may be arrested, and the community will keep watching, keep pushing, keep demanding that everyone involved answers for what they did, period. Because Kada Scott deserved better. She deserved to live. She deserved her future. And the least we can do now is make sure she gets justice. If you have any information about this case, about the accomplices, about anything that can help bring full justice, please call Philadelphia Police. Don't let fear or loyalty to the wrong people keep you silent. Kada's family deserves the complete truth. To Kada's family, we see you. We're with you. This community is holding you up, and we won't stop pushing until everyone responsible is held accountable. Rest in peace, Kada Scott. Forever Miss Philadelphia. Your community will never forget you. Your smile, your kindness, your light, the woman you were and the woman you were becoming. We're going to keep fighting for justice for you. For every woman who came before you, for every woman who comes after. That's it for this story on Kada Scott's case. I said what I said. If you've been following this with us, drop a comment and let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to Shadowed Crimes TV because we're going to keep covering this case as it develops. We're going to be there for the trial. We're going to be there for the verdict. We're going to make sure Kada's voice is heard. And we're going to keep shining a light on domestic violence, on violence against Black women, and on the systemic failures that allow these tragedies to happen. Until next time, stay safe out there, look out for each other, and never stop demanding justice.